Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to my studio gym here in Los Angeles, California. Today, I'm going to take you through a leg focused workout, hitting the quads, hamstrings, and the calves, all in a really great lower body workout. I've got a couple of new leg pieces in here as well from French Fitness that I can't wait to share with you, as well as give you some great training tips to help you get the most out of your workout. With that being said, let's jump right into it. Hack squats to start off. I've done a bit of a warm up, 5 minutes on the air bike just to get blood moving around the legs, and followed by a couple of high volume sets, 15 reps or so of some dumbbell squats just to kind of work the legs through that movement pattern. Before, I'd spend more time stretching, warming up, going through the motions, but I realized that I lose a lot of my energy and I stretch at the timeout. So the focus of this workout is really to warm up the legs as quickly as possible, get blood moving around those large muscles that we're going to be working throughout this leg routine, and then pretty quickly get up to the heaviest weight that we can. Now, I'm using the hack squat as my first exercise, and I'll often rotate this between a leg press or even a barbell squat, just so I've got some different movement patterns in there. But one thing I love about the hack squat is the ability to really target and isolate that large vastus medialis just above the knee. Now, I find myself rotating between the hack squat, leg press, and possibly barbell squats. And the reason I love the hack squat is simply because I can load up a lot of weight on a very specific movement pattern. I've got about a 90-degree bend between my knee and where my hips are dropping down. And I really feel this target on the vastus medialis, that teardrop muscle just above the knee. Now, I'm using the Powertec leg press hack squat. This flips back and forth between a hack squat and a leg press, so really versatile there. And I've got it in the hack squat position. I like to keep my feet a little bit higher up on the foot platform and also slightly rotated out. So I'm actually tracking my knees along the same line as my toes when I go down. This is a little bit different than a barbell squat simply because of the position that I'm putting in my body, as opposed to just concertining my body up and down, keeping my hips pretty much over my heels. I can have my feet in a much more forward position. So it's still a compound movement, but I'm also more so targeting and isolating that particular region of the muscle than I would be if I'm doing a barbell squat. So I do one warm-up set here, about 15 reps, and then pretty quickly get the weight on so that I can comfortably get between 8 and 10 reps, really challenging myself. I actually failed on one of those sets, which is nice because I can just bottom out the machine and exit. But the goal here is to really push for that muscle failure. Next exercise are these split leg dumbbell lunges. I like to keep a foot elevated on the bench, get a little bit deeper down, stretch out that quad as I go down. Great for stability. You're getting ready for stage, or you want to develop a little bit more conditioning and shape in your legs. These variants of a lunge are great for that. They also work the legs in a way that we don't typically train them when doing stationary movements. When you go down, don't touch your knee down onto the floor. You want to keep some tension on the muscle throughout. And I try and keep some sort of repetitive movement going. So I'm not bouncing up and down, but I'm dropping my knee down, getting a good stretch, and then driving back up by pushing down on that front leg. I'm not really pushing down on the back leg, that's just for stability. So a couple of options here. I like to keep my laces flat on the bench. I know some people like to keep their toes more upright, but I find with the laces down, I've got a little bit better stability. And then as I drive up to that front leg, really squeeze, flex hard up at the top. I'm not necessarily locking out my knee up at the top. I've actually got a slight bend in the knee. But what I am doing is putting all of that tension into the quads, flexing it, and then dropping back down. So I've got this smooth, repetitive, fluid motion going. Again, these will test you, they'll get you out of breath. And you've also got a couple of different options depending on how you want to hold the dumbbells. I actually like keeping them in that front rack position up here. Keeps me a little bit more stable, and really allows me to focus on the movement. But you can also keep the arms down at the side and have the dumbbells either side of the leg as you go down. But this one is a great movement. If you're not already doing it in your leg routine, add it in, you're gonna feel the benefits. Leg extensions are a must for any well-rounded strength and conditioning exercises. This is a new machine I've got in my studio gym. It's by French Fitness. It's both a leg extension and a seated leg curl. So both quads and hamstrings, which we'll be focusing on later on in this workout. What I really love about this leg extension is how far back the pad goes, which allows you to get a really good stretch in the quads and a full range of motion. You may think back to sometimes that you train in gyms, and when you lower the legs down, you bottom out the weight before you feel that you can get a full stretch in the quads. But with this machine, you've got all of these different adjusters back here to allow this foot pad to go all the way back to get that stretch and take the quads through a full range of motion. 3 sets, a little bit higher volume for isolated leg movements. I like anywhere from 12 to 15. I go heavy, but I also like to incorporate some drop sets, especially with it being a weight stack. I've got a heavy set here, 390 pounds. It goes up to, I'm probably around 300 pounds for most part. And then I'll do a drop set on that final working set, just to keep the intensity high. And again, it's a great way to incorporate the weight stack system in with the machine, because you can easily adjust that weight and keep the intensity high on the muscle. So 3 big quad dominant exercises. Now let's move on, have a look at a few of our hamstrings, and we'll finish off on some calves. My first major hamstring exercise, stiff-legged deadlifts. This is a great one that I can really load up the weight and stretch out the hamstrings, really working it as I pull that weight back up. Now with this, there's a couple of different variations. There's a Romanian deadlift, a stiff-legged deadlift, and then you've got some other variants as well. With this one, I like to keep my knees soft, so I'm not locking out the legs up at the top. And what I'm really doing is hinging at the waist, pushing my hips back a little bit as I lower that bar down, keeping it tracking in front of my shins. You can also do this on a Smith machine and with dumbbells, but with the barbell, I get to load up that bar, go heavy, get a nice deep stretch up at the bottom, and then you're really engaging, contracting the back of the legs, the hamstrings, to erect your torso back up, pushing the hips forwards up at the top, finish up that movement, and get the hamstrings a little flex. We're also not touching the weight on the floor, so I'm keeping constant tension on the hamstrings throughout that whole range of motion. 3 sets here, 8, 10, 12 reps. Rarely do I keep adding weight on. I prefer to keep the weight constant and just work through that movement, even slowing down the eccentric, the lengthening of the muscle as I lower that bar down to keep the intensity high. This one will really gas you. Requires a lot of stability, strength, and endurance to be able to hold and maintain that weight through that constant tempo. Oof. Feels great. All right, now let's move on and do more of an isolated, targeted hamstring exercise. Back on the leg extension, this time the hamstrings. And unlike most leg extension machines where you can only train the quads, lifting the foot pad up, we can actually adjust it by moving this pivot here, lock it into the pie position, and now I can actually put my heels on top of that and using this, lock on my thighs so I can perform a seated hamstring curl. Very similar to a lying hamstring curl. With this one in the upright position, you'll notice I'm pointing my toes forwards. This allows me to activate my hamstrings even more. I have to ease up on the weight a little bit, but as far as being the hamstrings activated, oof, especially after those step-legged deadlifts, I now get to isolate with a very specific targeted exercise for the hamstring curl. So again, front fitness, leg extension, and seated leg curl goes up to 390 pounds with a heavy set. Just looks great. Commercial grade gym equipment. Really happy to have this here in my studio gym so I can isolate and target both the quads and the hamstrings. 3 sets, about 10 reps, final drop set. Again, for the final working set. That's quads and hamstrings done. Now let's move on and finish up a little trio of calves. Now, when it comes to training calves, there's only really 2 basic fundamental movements. A calf raise with the leg straight and a calf raise with the knee bent. And that's so that we can train the gastrocnemius and the soleus, 2 main calf muscles. So the 2 exercises I'm doing is a straight leg, I guess donkey calf type press, and a seated calf raise where my knee is bent. Both of these are Powertec. You've got the compact leg sled, which has got a really great calf block. The thing I love about this is it's got a 5-inch depth, so I can really get a nice stretch with my heel coming down, stretch out the calves without making contact with the platform, and then press up to get that full range of motion. Similar with seated calf press, my heels are directly under my knees, and instead of angling my toes out like you may have heard in the past, people kind of saying like a pigeon toe, what I do is shift on the ball of my foot. So I'm not really changing the angle of my toes, but what I'm doing is rolling on the ball of my foot a little bit more outwards or inwards, depending on which set. So give this a try. Keep the toes pretty much in line with the knees pointing straight forwards. And then all you're gonna do is rotate out on the ball of your foot as opposed to changing the angle of the toes, which is gonna create some instability in the ankle joint. Not what we wanna do when we're trying to put some stress through added weight onto those muscles and through those joints. So keep everything in alignment and just shift the weight outwards on the ball of your foot. Now, calves are a slow twitch muscle fiber, which means they can take a lot of punishment. So we can keep our rest periods fairly short and keep the intensity high either by supersetting these 2 machines, although I did straight sets on each of them for 3 sets, and also perform them much like a circuit fashion that I typically do for my abdominals. 15, 20 repetitions, full range of motion, and again, just shifting the emphasis on rotating out or inwards on the ball of your feet. Okay, I've got one more in store for you. Let's check it out. And today I'm finishing off my leg workout with this tibialis anterior toe cradle, which allows you to slide your foot in and then pivot at the ankle using this muscle here, the tibialis anterior, this sheath of muscle just in front of the shin bone. So often if you're running or playing sports, football, you get shin splints. That's this muscle. So developing this, training this, conditioning this through this exercise is a great way to reduce those shin splints from happening. Often when we train calves, all we're doing is pushing down toward the back of the muscles here, but we often neglect the front muscle here. If you don't have this cradle, you can also perform it with a strap, either an ankle strap or even a handle over the front of your foot, and sit on the floor with the cable pretty down at the bottom, and then do the same thing, effectively curling that handle or the cable towards you. And with that said, that wraps up today's leg workout. 3 quad dominant exercises, a couple really good hamstring exercises, and then 2 calf exercises, and I guess the 3rd calf, the tibialis anterior. If you want to find out more information about any of the machines that I've used throughout my workout today, check the description in this video and include what they are, what exercises I did on them and where you can find out more information, maybe even save yourself a bit of money on there. I got a ton more videos coming soon, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Some nutrition ones, some in-studio gym, and also Go Gym, the mecca of bodybuilding, some more workout videos. I'll be dropping those really soon. Keep training hard, stay focused, and don't give up. I'll see you back here soon. Take care.